board for October 3rd, 2024. Everybody please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, our agenda this evening is as follows. This was posted on the town website and the town board. Number one, Haas site plan and special use permit. Applicant seeks to construct metal buildings for self-storage on property at the corner of New York State Route 7 and Carroll's Grove Road. Justin Haas is the applicant. Number two, CVE North America, waiver of subdivision, site plan and special use permit. Applicant seeks to subdivide 19.51 acre parcel to create two new lots of 24.96 acres and 74.55 acres and construct two community solar facilities on property located at 511 McChesney Avenue Extension. CVE North America Incorporated is the applicant. Number three, Paramount Building Group, major subdivision. Applicant proposes a major subdivision on approximately 33 acre parcel of land, as well as construct a new road with cul-de-sac and a water line extension on property located at the northeast corner of Spring Avenue Extension and Creek Road. Paramount Building Group of New York is the applicant. The planning board will also review new applications received following the September 19th, 2024 regular meeting. Our first item on our agenda, business-wise, is the review of the minutes of the planning board meeting held on September 19th, 2024. Has everybody had an opportunity to review those? Are there any corrections, additions, amendments? Okay, hearing none, I make a motion that the minutes be accepted as they were submitted. I have a second. Is there any further discussion on the minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, first on our agenda is the Haas site plan and special use permit. Mr. Bond, join us.
Thank you. I'm just gonna borrow these. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. How you doing? Good evening, everybody. Matt Bond, Department of Engineering, again, on behalf of Justin Haas. We proposed 7 storage.
Here we received some updated drawings,
Correct.
and there was also an update on the stormwater, which I believe Wayne has received and reviewed.
That's correct.
Why don't we start with the stormwater?
Sure.
Wayne, if you can have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We did review the revised stormwater, and we had some minor comments that we provided to Mr. Bond actually today. He's had a chance to look through them, and there's no objections to any of these comments. I can go through some of the more critical ones. One comment is recommended that the fencing on the west side of the property is shifted slightly east, so the proposed line of trees is not planted within the swale. Mr. Bond has agreed to make that adjustment. We asked for a detail where the fence crosses the swale for security purposes. And when the fence crosses the swale, we don't want people or large animals, I suppose, coming in there, get stuck in there.
Okay.
We had a little discussion and comment about the wall. It was agreed that a detailed engineering plan would be provided at building permit phase. However, we'd like to see some spot elevations along the wall, along the length and at the ends of the wall, so that we know what those elevations are. We'd like to see him extend the spillway stone on the plan view just past the adjacent berm to protect the berm and prevent the spill exactly the large stone there. That's not a problem. The berm at the top of the pocket pond at the 104 foot wide. If he could widen that to at least 3 foot, that would be preferable. The overflow weir detail shows TRN used on the basin side of the berm and riprap on the outside slope. Plans show riprap on both sides. Just needs to clarify which is going to be used. Riprap is on both sides. Don't have the riprap extended to the aquatic bench and the pocket pond showed on drawing number C500. We'd like to see his pipe sizing calculations, which he has agreed to provide. And we'd like to see the existing conditions, drainage map in the slip. There's no issue there either, I don't think, right, Matt?
No, that just when we're putting it together, was collated that into the PDF, so it was there in the first submission, not in the second.
Gotcha. And that's all the comments we had. He's addressed all the other comments.
Okay. Okay, then in reference to the, we had a public hearing on the 5th, and I got the comments dated September 24th. I think we should possibly just review those real quickly. Did everybody, I assume everybody got a copy of this. Is it in my packet? Did anybody have any questions on any of those? My packet included full-size copy of the development plans, 11 by 17 copies of the development plans, 7 copies of the building elevation plan drawing from the applicant's building manufacturer, and electronic submission of the stormwater management or prevention plan. Okay. So, we received those on the 26th. Are these the same ones that you just reviewed? For the stormwater?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no. The ones that you have are the responses to our previous comments.
Yes.
And some of what I said was just handful that weren't addressed in this comment, response to comments.
Okay.
So he addressed everything in here except for like 2 or 3 things that he didn't address.
Okay. But these changes would have to require new drawings and so forth and so on.
Well, perhaps, yeah, the fence, he's gonna slide the fence over, that would require a change to the site plan.
Okay.
Some of the other comments are out of the slip, and that would just be to updates.
All right. Could these, Andy, can any of these type of, any or all of these comments be conditions of approval? Or should we have a fully updated drawings and so forth?
So a condition for the board to consider would be response to all outstanding engineering comments.
Okay.
And that would allow Wayne to review and sign off on the final comments on the SWIP and any changes to the plan.
All right. Okay, does anybody have any questions at this point? Oh, I was going back just to review. The comments, your responses to the comments on the public hearing. It appears, from what I've read, that the comments have been satisfactorily addressed. Wayne, did you have an opportunity to review those?
I did. I would say that he's addressed them sufficiently.
Okay. Does anybody have any question on any of the responses by the applicant to the public hearing?
The only question I had was with regard to the fire department access and whether, I don't recall whether the fire department asked for a Knox box. I see on the
Yes.
plan. it
I
says-
believe they did.
Yeah, it says that they
Yeah.
coordinate with the fire department, but I think we could add that as a note
Okay,
for the Knox box to be added to the.
all right. So that would be a condition of approval to coordinate with the fire department and install Knox box. Would that be it?
We did on the updated plans that we did this year, put the Knox box on the side of the kiosk before as directed by the fire chief. That's a new note since the last.
Okay, so
Sorry,
I missed
That
that.
was,
Thank
no,
you.
that was just in the,
Okay, you can
This last.
scratch that, Andy. All right, anything else, sir? What I'm trying to do is see if we can approve this tonight. Wayne, do you have any comments as far as why or why not?
No, most of our comments are fairly minor, and he's agreed to make those changes. We can condition it on completion of the engineer review based on all these comments.
Does anybody on the board have any questions for the applicant? And do they have any comments as to whether we can proceed or not? Okay, hearing none, I assume we would have to do a secret determination. Would somebody like to make a secret determination on
Only gonna make this.
that? Do I have a second?
I'll say.
Is there any further discussion on the secret determination? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now on the approval of the site plan application and the special use permit. The conditions would be regarding the engineering and the SWIP.
I'll make a motion for approval of the site plan as submitted with the modifications to address the comments of the planning board engineer. The site plan and the special use permit.
Do I have a second? I'll second. Is there any further discussion that as far as the added conditions or anything that has to be clarified? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, you're good?
thank you very much.
All right,
I really appreciate it.
you will have to get the new, the updated plans for us to stamp, so forth and so on.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Thanks again.
All right,
We appreciate it.
thank you. Okay, next on our agenda is the CBE North American.
We were hoping to use the projector.
Yes, I got a call today from the building
Take a
department.
minute, see if I can successfully
Okay,
do it.
is there anything we should be discussing while he sets up?
I did carry a copy of CBD David Crower. I did submit a revised visual analysis and submitted this to Mr. Fitzgerald. We felt that we wanted additional information on the visual, so we do have a video to show on how it came out, and flew a drone on some of the vantage points that the planning board was concerned with, so we did want to show that. I think it visually shows better than the still pictures.
Okay. You know, I received 2 copies of this one. And they're both dated August 24th. Is there,
One should have on the cover a revision of the August 24th. It should say revision. There should be a note.
did anybody get that? I didn't,
Russ, I don't need that. This was on my desk. There's a revision date on this.
okay. Apparently I got 2 copies of the old one, okay. All right. You have the revision? You have the revision now?
Yeah, see, it's September 24th.
Okay. Okay, you said that what, just outline the revision that you made, please.
So when we were here in September, the board had requested that we have additional vantage points from some specific streets.
So there's additional photographs.
Correct.
Okay. I apologize for not
That's okay.
being prepared here.
We're setting up anyway.
That's good.
So I think it also is important to keep in mind, this property is 99 acres. We are using the lower 35. So there is a lot of parcel that we're not touching. We're leaving. There's a lot of trees that will remain after the project.
So, you know, those and references that are missing up from that. So, you know,
If we went to a public hearing, I assume you would use this as part of your presentation.
I think it would be helpful.
Should we bring this in? No. It's big.
Might have to move the
without trees.
screen forward over the projector forward.
That's a tree.
There you go.
You can come on, see that, man. Yeah, if you want me to point to something, let me know.
You can move that.
Anybody in the audience
Thank
who
you.
wishes to come over, you can move a seat around.
Turn your lights.
Okay.
So this is just an overview of the project. We've discussed some of these things already. Introduction to who we are as a company. We are an independent renewable power producer. We have roughly, I think we're close to 40 employees in the United States, but we also have offices in France, Chile, South Africa. We are mainly focused in the Northeast, Midwest, and Southwest right now. We produce renewable energy, consume locally, and as you can see, some of our projects in operation are roughly 48 megawatts in operation right now, 62 in construction, 250 megawatts in development, and we have a goal of 450 by 2026. This particular project it is capable of producing 8.62 megawatts DC power, and then 6.95 AC. It consists of two projects, as you see. The lower left is the 2 megawatt with the upper and the right in the 4.95. It sits on roughly 35 acres. On the parcel of 90. We will have about almost 16,000 panels on a tracker system. We are purchasing them. This is our construction timeline. It's roughly 6 months. We were hoping to start in 2025. Obviously, we use best practices for our stormwater and management control, and we work Monday through Friday, 8 to 6. And then obviously we have decommissioning in place. We will have a bond in place with the town that removes the panels, the racking, the posts, the hubs, all the concrete pads, all the wires, the road, and we like to leave the land as we found it. Some economic benefits to the town. I know our other project, I used the assumption with the same pilot program of $6,000 per megawatt. So that's $41,700 per year with a 2% escalation. So over 15 years, that is a total tax revenue of $721,135. Obviously, there's environmental benefits to the project. As you can see, the equivalent of what we would be producing, 1,229 gas-powered passenger vehicles. Shows the miles. CBE also donates to the town $1 for every panel. So in this
So not a public organization, within it, or the area, an environmental one,
environment.
not through.
Right, okay, sorry. So that would be $15,964. For the community, obviously, we try to focus on local first. They get a 5 to 10% discount on their bill credits. Subscribers will save approximately $3 million in energy costs over 25 years. And then obviously there's no tax strain from the project on the town. We don't use water, there's no additional traffic after construction. This is just an overview of how solar works, community solar works. So we build the solar in an area. We produce clean energy and distribute it through the local grid, which would be national grid in this case. And then the customers receive the tax credits and save money on their utility bill.
Sorry, the bill credit.
Okay. And there are currently 22 states that allow solar and community solar and incentivize it. And that number is growing. So we do have operation maintenance staff at CBE. That's their only job, is to maintain our sites that we have. So they monitor each system, make sure there's nothing's acting funny, no damage to panels, transformers, inverters. We always make sure that our sites are mowed and control weeds. This can be monitored 24/7, and we have someone physically come out and inspect the sites twice a year. And with that, they do check the stormwater features also.
I have a question here. We brought this up, I think, at an earlier meeting. You strictly do mowing. You're not going to do any type of herbicides or anything like that?
Correct. No pesticides.
Okay.
So this is just our management plan, how many times we send someone out to mow and check for any type of weeds. I know it was brought up at the last meeting that you had a concern about toxic chemicals in the panels themselves. So this is a list of some of the questions we often receive. Are the solar panels toxic? No, they're not. We use tier 1 solar panels, which are basically the metal frame, and the panel itself is made from silicon, which is in its most basic form the same.
Where are those panels manufactured?
Where are they manufactured?
Typically in the Far East. In the Far East. Well, India, Thailand, Malaysia. We do not buy panels from China, if that's part of the question.
The panels, the recycling of panels has become something of concern, obviously, and this is a growing industry. So it's fairly in its infancy, but when this system is no longer used 25, 30 years from now, recycling will be in place. There's a lot of value in the materials that we're using, silver, copper, silicon. So this can be, all the materials we use can be recycled and be reused. I know a lot of questions we receive are dangerous electromagnetic fields. Do the panels themselves give up dangerous electrical rays? Not anything more than your toaster. So there's studies that have found that your cell phone gives off more electromagnetic waves than the solar. The impacts to farmland. We do not damage the land. The land after use can be used for farming, again, if it's on a farm. There are lofty renewable goals. Solar, if we met all those goals, would use 1% of the farmland.
Are you saying that my cell phone gives up more radiation than 16,000 panels? Gonna get a whole new phone.
There's so many things in our home that give off more. Panels causing glare, this is something that we get a lot. Panels are not made to reflect the sun, they're made to absorb the sun. So they reflect less than 2% of the sunlight. We typically see more reflection from a window in a house. There's plenty of airports that have solar, because they're not made to cause glare.
The bottom says impact bird.
Oh, does it impact birds? No, the answer is no. There has been studies actually in Europe where the bird population has increased because we plant pollinator-friendly grasses and native grasses, and it increases the insects, and with the insects, it increases the birds. So no, they're not dangerous to birds. Our company.
So, putting that our colleague, so that's, we tried to go to some of the hot spots you all had identified for us in the last meeting. Try to give a sense of something. It's about.
May I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
If you're gonna do the narration, could you just grab that mic?
Yeah.
So, these meetings are recorded and. Perfect, thank you.
Sorry, folks. Oh, you said,
I just got like a question. The decommissioning, when was the first solar farm that you put into? What year?
3 years ago.
3 years?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, worldwide, is there any that are starting to approach the decommissioning? I don't know. I'm just kind of curious how that process, who determines when the solar panel is depleted? Or
The owner. The
you
owner,
do?
yeah. So they'll monitor the efficiency of the panels, which over time degrades slowly.
Yeah.
And at some point, they'll reach a level where they'll decide, do I want to, is it worth still maintaining these panels? Is it, should we replace them with new panels? Or should we just keep going the way we're going?
Okay.
Yeah. Typical lifetime of panels is 35 years.
35.
Most leases that we sign are a minimum of 25 years, usually with a 5-year extension. So we're really looking to get 35 to 40 years out of the installation.
Okay.
I just need to turn on my Wi-Fi. And we lost it.
What was the amount of the pilot?
6,000 per megawatt was the,
Not total,
from
41,000.
41,000. So this is 100 acre site, roughly. Split that up into 2 acre building lots and build houses there, and let's say $8,000 a year in property taxes and school taxes. In 15 years, which was the number you used, that's $6 million to the town.
Right.
I don't see how this is good for the town financially.
I think we would need a study on what the drain is, or how much is the town paying for those residences. teachers, roads, police, water, sewer.
Wow. $6 million is a lot more than.
$6 million.
That's my point, we would make a lot more use of $6 million than the pilot money, because that's a one-time thing, right?
This year.
Well, it's every year.
Oh, every year.
Yeah, annually.
Okay, so,
But, you know, as we showed, that over 15 years, that's almost $750,000. That's not $6 million either. I agree. So, you know, the world, I agree, the world's full of trade-offs. We're not trying to make the argument that a solar installation is the single best way for a town to earn revenue. We're just trying to point out that there's a revenue stream that is associated with an installation.
we, as a board, we have an obligation to do what's best for the town and its
Yep.
residents.
Can I ask you a question? So,
Sorry?
can I ask a question about the previous applicant who came in, who's building self-storage container? Is there a different type of building or factory that would provide a higher level? Are those storage containers the maximum value that a town can get for that lot?
It's not,
I'm sorry, I don't mean that to deflect.
No,
I hope
no,
it doesn't come
no,
off.
no, it's a valid point. I understand. And I also understand the fact that there's additional services that have to be provided that cost taxpayers money. Plowing, road maintenance, that type of thing, even schools and so forth. So there is this is more or less plus revenue with no expense. I can understand, but there's still the argument whether potentially $6 million could, even with the offset of expenses,
Oh,
could be
that's-
considerably different.
There's no argument.
Okay. I think that's the point
Yeah.
that Mr. Henderson is trying to make.
Is that revenue shared by the county or is that strictly town revenue?
We share by the county, town, and school, right? Typically, the pilot is usually in lieu of the property tax.
So the town portion would be less than what you're describing.
Yes. Yes, that's the total.
Yeah.
That's the total pilot.
Would a work portion of town get to that?
I do not know off the top of my head.
Don't look at me.
The seller project, the school gets half, and then the county and the town split the other half, so forth. Is what we negotiated with that.
I mean, the counter argument of taking the $6 or $7 million that potentially we could do on development, the town does not get $6 or $7 million.
That's understood.
Okay, I think this is now working.
Okay,
Sorry.
we'll let you off the hook.
So
Go ahead.
again, no, I'm happy. I enjoyed the conversation. So this is the perspective from the top of where the solar installation would be at the property, looking down at Chesney Road.
Does it say that the elevation of the drone is 78 feet?
That's overall, it's going from 78 down to 4, just a different level.
Can you turn the lights off?
Should I pause it or? Liz mentioned that the height that it is right now, please remember, this is significantly higher than the panel. So the panels, the maximum height of the panel is about 9.5 feet. And so these are some of the houses along Moonwalk. So as you can see, there is a buffer line of trees and bushes, but it's not as thick as other places. Obviously, we would submit a landscaping plan to fortify the areas where there's not as much tall trees, typically with faster growing pine.
So that's looking up the hill from the other side of it. Okay. All right. You said that's about an elevation of 75, 78 feet or something like that?
Yeah.
I think it was lower at that point. Still above the tree height.
Are you the pilot? No, just flip back there. Can you flip back a little bit?
So go back one?
Yeah. Is that the house that's
Oh.
currently on top of the hill?
Yes, sorry,
Pigeons.
That's Fijian's house?
yes.
Okay. I would assume that house is going to be taken down.
The house would be taken down.
Okay.
So these are, again, so now we went to some of the points that you all had asked about.
Okay.
And I'll just point that the upper right area, the open area there, we are not building on that area.
Okay.
Starting the area that's on the left.
Okay. So you'd be able to see the panels from that.
So you'd be able to see, yes. But from this distance, I'd like to make the argument that it's not taking up a large part of your view. But you
Okay.
would absolutely be able to see it.
Okay.
Are the panels aren't simulated on there, right?
No, they're not.
Can you guys do that?
We can. The visual.
I think that'd be very helpful.
Again, part of what Buddy was trying to show is that, and you'll see this in a couple of places, but as the height obviously comes down, it's difficult to see much of the way. But acknowledge it's not invisible.
Tree tops there.
Well, it's not, I think it's actually a good perspective because some of those houses sit 20 feet above, like that house right there. I mean, your second floor is, we're close to the top of those tower lines.
You said how many panels do we have total?
16,000.
Because they're trackers.
They're tracking, single axis.
And they're all gonna track at the same time?
Yeah.
Now, you know, does that many, is it gonna be noisy?
No, it's that anyone.
So what about visibility in the other 8 months of the year, when there aren't leaves on the trees?
It will look worse. Worse. It will be more obvious when there are not leaves. But I think that part of what we're trying to show here is that from most of these vantage points, yes, you can see it, and you can see it, we went to specific spots where we can see it, on most of the roads, as I was driving by, the roads are lined with trees, so you actually can't see the hill from most of the roads, but there are certainly spots on each road where you can see, so we're trying to show those. I don't know if it would be helpful, but we're happy to send a copy of this into the calendar. And then the only other thing we had wanted to mention, and this is something I think that we had handed, we thought you all had last time, but I think we gave it to you at the end of the meeting. You were talking about, Karen, had been talking about the capacity of the local substations and whether there's room, the concern of how much more solar like this can be done in this area, in this region. And so there are 3 substations in town, and what we're trying to show here is that 2 of the substations don't have any capacity, Brunswick and North Troy. And then the Sycamore substation, which is 2 different transformers, both of them have capacity. However, both of them, I think they both require, right, an upgrade?
Transformer 1 required, that's what our project is on with National Grid. It required an upgrade to a cable the cable costs $400. So essentially, there's no more capacity left.
Which is why we ended up reducing the size from what the original design was.
Which was it, what was it originally designed?
I'm sorry?
Original was 2 5-megawatt projects,
Yes,
so
okay.
we reduced it to a 5 and a 2 to avoid that upgrade cost. The second transformer, there's no suitable property that
Along those feet.
along that feeder that can
It's sort of right off Hillcrest.
Right on.
Hillcrest, the end of Cooper's Pond. Is it, am I correct in that, right?
Behind Planet Fitness.
Planet Fitness.
Thank you for providing us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Were there any other questions on the visual?
There was a comment made about whether or not we could at least have some type of mark across or something to
Something that would
indicate,
show the panels?
show the panels. Otherwise, I think if you gave this presentation at a public hearing, you'd have to be there with a laser pointer or something showing where the panels are coming from. So, that was a suggestion. Based on all the projects we've had, solar projects we've had to date, obviously this one's gonna be the most frequent.
Correct, we acknowledge that.
Yeah.
And we're sympathetic with that.
Yeah. And that's a hill that has to be climbed with the public on this. So, just,
Thank you for putting this out.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was very well done. Pilot did a great job.
I forgot to acknowledge that, it was also a little difficult situation because those were busy roads. And so hard to find places to pull off and then fly your drone with,
Yeah. I'm sure you probably attracted a little attention too.
Yes, did the town establish lead agency for the seeker?
No, the notice was circulated. We're still within that initial 30-day period. I'm not aware if any responses have come into the town, but we're still in the initial 30 days.
And just to review this, this is 3, you have the waiver subdivision, you gotta divide that lot into 2 separate parcels. You have the site plan, and then you have a special use permit for the poles and so forth and so on, access to the site, is that correct?
The zoning for the pole.
Yes.
Correct.
Right. Normally, we've been doing a joint public hearing on this with the zoning board. Is that what you're going to do on this?
Completely within the discretion of the board. You have done that in the past on other solar projects.
Okay. Have you gone before the zoning board yet?
We did, but we haven't been there this past month.
Okay. So they haven't done any, analysis on it. Are you gonna do this presentation today?
I can.
Are they scheduled at the next zoning board meeting?
I don't believe so, but that doesn't mean the
I'm just
suggestion or
curious of
request couldn't be.
where everybody's going with this.
I would remind the board that there's a subdivision component to this, so in coordination with Wayne's office, you'll need to make a secret determination before the public hearing.
Okay,
It's a waiver though, right? Is it a waiver? Or
It is.
minor?
It's a waiver.
it's a waiver of subdivision.
That hasn't been mentioned.
No, we haven't addressed that yet. So we have to, as Andy just spoke, we have to have a secret determination on that. Do that. Procedurally, there seems to be enough information right now for us to proceed ahead, possibly get into a public hearing. However, we still haven't got a determination on the lead agency on that. So we
Correct.
can't do anything until we.
Well, I'll state again, there's two parts to that. There's declaring lead agency and then reviewing and making a determination of significance.
Yeah.
Which is a requirement in connection with subdivisions.
Okay.
Since they're proposing to subdivide the property, that procedurally is required and one can review.
So will that be the same secret review for the site plan?
So procedurally, under our New York town law, the provisions dealing with special use permitted site plans do not recite the necessity of making a secret determination prior to holding the public hearing. But with respect to subdivision of property, the New York town law, it's not in our local code. The New York town law is very specific that prior to holding the public hearing, you do need to make a secret determination. You're following the same procedure on the Marie's Muse project review and should follow that procedure here.
Okay.
There had not been a subdivision component, would be within your discretion to move forward and hold a public hearing and take public comment prior to making the secret determination, but this application includes a subdivision.
Okay. So we have to review the information that's provided here.
The stormwater is currently under review, and we're also reviewing the visual impact assessment to make sure it follows that. Got it for me on here. Actually, I have a meeting tomorrow.
So it's the process of you then send us comments.
Look for a comment letter.
Okay.
And personally, on the visual, I still have some questions about these two maps that were presented that I believe that the public will have difficulty understanding what the roads are, which roads are being identified by these lines, and I feel like there are some other visual points that may need to be looked at when we look at the site plan aerial. There's a subdivision right here adjacent to our site, which, if I can read this map correctly, appears to be visual, in the visual area. This subdivision off McChesney Avenue. And then there's a fairly large subdivision, an older subdivision between McChesney Avenue and Route 2. I don't know that that has a name to it. The one on the hill with like,
Across from the firehouse?
behind.
Behind
Eagle
Gordy's.
Mills Firehouse.
Find what?
Behind Eagle Mills
Oh.
Firehouse. Eagle Crest.
No, not in the request.
You know, up on the hill,
Yeah. that's
Yeah,
what Don
Hanks
is.
Road
That-
and
that-
up there. That was Plumiak. I think.
I'm sorry,
Correct.
so
The official name of that?
this is a
That's
new
all I have.
subdivision. It goes between McChesney and town office.
So we can definitely.
And then
It don't
opposite,
because there's, it don't vacancy.
okay, it's kind of hard, that's why I'm saying, like, if some of these roads were on this map, I might be able to say, oh, it's in the red area.
The one issue with this map, frankly, and I don't know why they continue to include it, but, so this is just based on topography.
Mhm.
And so the it's natural screening that exists almost everywhere. I mean, fortunately, this is such a beautiful area. You've got 1,000,000 trees lining the roads. And that's not reflected at all in this. This is just purely, is there a line of sight from the ground here to here?
Right,
But, which is why it's really helpful, as last month, you all gave us some specific roads and points to look for. So if there are subdivisions or areas of concern, we're happy to, on the drone, we take one picture.
Yeah.
I think Don was in the one you're talking about. Up on the hill.
this one.
Can you see the,
Yeah.
this field from your house?
No.
Okay. But certainly the houses on Moonlawn, yeah, which you showed, obviously. Those are newer construction, relatively speaking.
And it's clearly indicated that the Doubleday development, that's on
Right.
Texas Street.
Yeah,
Sorry, Doubleday, that's the one.
Doubleday is this one, yes.
yeah. There's a loop road that goes to the town office road over to McChesney Avenue.
So we can.
So this, this zoning map might be a better indication of some of those areas that potentially have residences that don't, that aren't easily identifiable on this map because there doesn't have a lot of reference markers.
This is double day here.
Thank you, Chris.
Sure.
I have to
If there's
assume that
another
the
House
purchase of this property is contingent
that
on.
you guys can send to us, if you think of it, if there's another subdivision that you want to look at.
So,
Don was in the one.
Don, you're
over
over here. If this is Route 2,
Yeah.
and this is McChesney, you're in this area?
I live on the north side of the,
So you're in this area?
yes.
You got it, yeah.
So this area, and then there's houses here, I think that look back at that hill, but I'm not 100%.
Yeah, so we'll go to a couple of spots in that area.
A lot of these, as you indicated, are far away.
Yep.
And you did the ones on Moon Lawn from that back of those
Yep.
very nice residences that have just been built there. But perhaps there's a couple more closer in that foreground.
Sure, okay.
I think you made a good point that people are gonna look at this map, are gonna,
Right,
It took me a while to understand. It just, but it also, as I said, doesn't really make sense because the screening, there's screening everywhere.
I'm sorry, what doesn't make sense?
It doesn't make sense to me because it doesn't reflect any screening, any natural screening that exists. It's just going on topography. And so,
it's areas blocked by topography, not screened by vegetation, and so
Right.
there's there's
exactly.
seasonal changes with that
Yeah.
as well.
Okay,
All right. Wayne, you're gonna be reviewing the stormwater in regards to the E8 environmental assessment.
Yes.
And there's something else to review.
The visual,
The visual, yeah. Which are covered in some, which section of the visual? Do you recall?
I got people, I'm not,
Okay,
I have people.
all right. So we got some review to do. We got a few things that we have to do with the, that map and some of the other site areas that we mentioned just now with Linda. So we can put you on our agenda, keep this moving on for our next meeting for an update. Hopefully we can get towards some type of secret determination on this. And our next meeting is on October 17th. Do you have any questions of us? And you obviously be in contact with Wayne for any follow-up questions or responses. All right. Does anybody have any additional questions for the applicant? Andy, are we all set?
For this evening, correct.
Okay.
Thank you all.
All right, thank you for the
Thank you.
presentation. Are you gonna bring your own equipment next time, or do we keep this available to you? Just let us know if you need
Okay,
it.
it's really helpful to have.
Okay.
I would suggest you move the projector over here, closer to the screen. So you're not moving the screen with the projector.
I think one time okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Final third item on our agenda tonight is the Paramount Building Group. And Mr. Bond is up here again.
It's good to be back up.
Okay, at our last meeting, there had to be a determination on the number of lots. And we had some discussion, you had presented this plan to us, and there was some discussion regarding lots, well, the two lots on Spring Avenue that now have the extended driveways up to the cul-de-sac, which now allows for 17 houses. There's discussion about whether the owners of those lots would actually choose to go on to Spring Avenue, the two lots on Spring Avenue, and then two lots on Brook Road. So, has the building department looked at this and determined what they feel is the proper number of lots that?
Yeah, the density calculation did factor in with lots of, from a subdivision, and also it would be post-balancing. That's what we determined. So after the site is balanced, that's how you would do the density calculations. So
Well, not the density, but I mean, as far as, did you determine that we have to make a recommendation for 5 additional houses?
yeah, because they only allow 12 on a cul-de-sac.
No, the issue is a determination by the building department as to whether the lots to be included in the calculation for a number of lots in a cul-de-sac road includes all lots with proposed driveways on the road, even though those lots otherwise have frontage on an existing public road. Okay, you understand that? If a lot, even though the driveway is proposed for the cul-de-sac, otherwise has frontage on a public road, is that included in the calculation for number of lots on the cul-de-sac road? The answer to that is, that's a building department determination. It's not the planning board. And the reason you need to determine that is if the number of lots exceeds 12, then there'll need to be a waiver by the town board. This planning board is going to be asked to refer it and make a recommendation, and they need to know how many lots are being recommended in excess of 12 on a cul-de-sac road. I think the building department in the past has made some determination on how you calculate what's included in the lots for that. So that's, again, a building department determination, not the planning board.
How does the density calculation factor into, does one trump the other?
No, they're both, I wouldn't say one trumps the other. They're both applicable. I believe the building department's made a determination regarding how the density calculation is to be performed. Whatever that determination is, that will address that issue. And then they still need to comply with the subdivision limitation of 12 lots on the cul-de-sac road. And how that is interpreted and applied is a building department determination.
I had a question about lot, if that's 19,
18?
18,
Yes.
septic field adjacent to a wetland.
Correct. Army Corps well versus the DVC with the 100 foot buffer.
Doesn't the Brunswick County Health Department have a regulation about septic fields?
For, this actually just came up in the last week or two, recommended minimum 10 foot setback from Army Corps.
How big are your wetlands on lot 19 or 18?
That's probably about an acre. That lot itself is 5 acres, 5.5 acres.
I had a concern about the two lots that share the driveway there, the long driveway. Once they get settled in there, they're gonna come to the town and want the town to plow that driveway. Would it be to do a hammerhead or a T, some way to incorporate that into the town road, partway into those two houses?
Oh, I see. Yeah, so there were a couple different ways we wanted to show, we could basically have run the driveway similar to what you see on lot number 10, but we're just showing another option for lot 11 where the driveway, this driveway is actually 20 feet wide with the center being directly down the property line. The intent is for those to remain private drives. If there's something that the board felt should be added to the plan or noted on here that these are to remain private, we'd certainly be okay with that.
What's the length of that driveway, both driveways?
Those are, just over 500 feet. So what you see here, this turnaround is the sufficient for emergency access. It's 120 foot wide total, with 28 foot radii that occurs.
And what's the width of them?
The width of,
Each driveway?
oh, it's 20 feet total.
So they're 10 foot each.
Yes.
I don't think that is the. Well, he's got 20 feet wide, that's a 20-foot wide driveway centered on the property.
It's a shared drive.
Shared driveway. We allow shared driveways.
As long as there's adequate space to put individual driveways in.
Right.
So, can it,
That's my point, though.
is there adequate space to put I think it has to be 16 feet with, and then maybe a kick out so many feet?
Right.
Yeah, not for 500 feet.
Those are 30 foot wide strips, minimum 30 foot wide, to make sure that there's plenty of room.
It was over 500 foot wide, it was required.
Oh. 500 foot's all right, though, you don't need it. I'm sure those people are gonna show up at the town board meeting wants to know why
My
they're.
guess is they're gonna put the driveway on spring house.
Basically, we'd like the option to be able to go to the cul-de-sac. So that's why we're requesting the 17, the last, the recommendation to the town. board.
What's the reason for that?
The applicant has encountered numerous instances where there are subdivisions similar to this, and the folks who have frontage lots, people actually passed on frontage lots because they didn't feel that they were part of the community. So the thought is for this to all feel as if everyone's part of this neighborhood, this community. Of course, retaining the option if they so chose to go to Spring Ave, but we like the option to tie into the cul-de-sac.
What's
Yeah,
your
well, one of the issues goes back to the number, I mean, this makes it confusing to me. If I were to try to decide how many lots are on the cul-de-sac. Because all of a sudden now, you're adding some that technically, well, that's for the building department to determine. That's why we're now referring them to the building department, say, okay, what makes sense here? Let me say, we'll allow this many. And the two, especially the two on Spring Avenue, would have to, go on to Spring Avenue. If they were to put driveways, what are the site distances? Do you have any idea what the site distances on that curve would be?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Russ, I just want to be clear, the issue for the building department is what lots need to be included for any proposed waiver on a number of lots. If a lot has frontage both on the cul-de-sac road and on an existing public road, is that counted for the total 12? That's the issue. That's an interpretation issue, and that's the building department. Once that's determined, you'll then know, okay, how many lots are included in the calculation, and are they above 12? And if yes, what's the number? And when you refer it for a waiver, what's your recommendation?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Would there be something out of curiosity where, for the sake of trying to progress with the project, to request up to 17 lots? Is there a way to have that recommended in such a fashion? So up to 17 lots, and if some of the lots were to flip over, if you know more than 17 lots would be connected, whether the determination were to be whether they have frontage or not. I'm not sure if there's just another way to phrase it to progress.
That's something to be determined by the building department, and if they need counsel on that, we'll seek that from the town attorney. It's not a building department, strike that, it's not a planning board issue.
Okay.
I
What,
I have a question, the lollipop at the end of the cul-de-sac, I guess you call it, certain section of that becomes town property, that center section of the circle? For the town to maintain, I realize the town's gonna maintain the road, all the pavement, but this, the interior portion of that circle at the end there. That would be part of the right. Then you part of the town, responsibility to maintain.
we maintain the one in the little circle at the end of my street.
Okay. There's just three.
Okay. So we'll get a determination from the planning department, or the building department, and then we will proceed ahead with an appropriate recommendation. Is there anything else regarding that situation that you want to bring up or anything?
No, I don't think so. I think we're just hoping to get to the determination on that, so we can continue, because we're well into the design project, but prior to completing some of the finer points, we can have that determined, so we can finish it off.
All right. Where are we with the stormwater plan? We have to, is there any
No, we've not submitted a stormwater plan.
Okay.
Did you, base this design layout based on the density calculation you're finding?
Yes, yeah, looking at the calculations, I think we had 22, at least, more requesting 18. So it's about a 32-acre parcel total, 40,000 square foot lot zoning, plus then looking at the density, 9.5 22 lots in our calculation. So requesting 18 lots, which is well under the 100.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? Then we will assume we're going to get an answer by October 17th meeting, so we'll put you on the agenda.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Have a great night.
You too. Okay, that concludes our formal agenda. Just as future agendas, as a note, we do have a public hearing for the riser project on our October 17th meeting, commenced at 7 p.m. What is the status right now of Marie's views? Do you have anything to report on that?
Yep, we had requested some additional information on the stormwater. Additional subsurface testing, infiltration testing in areas where we want to have some post-construction stormwater facilities. And actually, they went out today and did some test pits and some infiltration tests in those areas. So I expect it's going to take them some time to take the information that they take it from the test today,
Okay.
put something together for us.
And that information probably won't be given to you within the next couple of weeks. So there's no need to tentatively put them on our agenda at this point.
I wouldn't think so. I
Okay.
mean, they can find something that maybe force them to revise their stormwater plan.
All right.
I don't know that, but
Okay. Is there any other? There's no new business. Is that correct, Mike?
Correct.
And is there any other old business besides the Chick-fil-A? Okay, to review our agenda, we have the riser public hearing, 7 p.m. on 17th. We also have CVE coming back in. And we have Paramount Building coming back in. So that's the only 3 items I know on the 17th. Does anybody have anything else? Did I miss anything? So that's our tentative agenda. Okay, if there's no other business, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. Everybody in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. And that concludes our meeting.